Hello, hello everyone. This is a tutorial and demonstration video of optical microscopy. Optical microscopy study is basically the study of objects that require visible light for their proper visualization. Normally, in microscopy, the samples can be lit in number of possible ways. This can either be through the solid objects in case of bright field illumination, or it can be around the sample, which is usually seen in dark field, and in many cases polarized light being used, and this is to study the crystal orientation or the crystal packing inside the system. The bright field illumination produces dark image of a sample over a bright background. This background is comparatively brighter than the sample of interest. Bright field microscopy with polarized light is useful for the identification of fat crystals or endogenous crystals within the tissue fluid. So, if you look here, the two microscopy are represented in forms of figure. In case of bright field illumination, the contrast which is produced from the background or the contrast in the sample is developed due to the absorbance of light in the sample. However, if we look at the polarized light illumination, the contrast in the sample is developed due to the rotation of polarized light through the sample. So, if you can see, in case of bright field illumination, as represented on in the figure presented at left, there is a substantial white background over which the object appears darker as compared to the background. However, inside the cellular structures, or in case of many fat structures or having any crystal morphology, the whose whose elimination cannot be substantially done through the visible light, uses the polarized light microscopy, and here you can see that the object of interest appears brighter over a darker background. If we try to look at the working mechanism of optical microscopy, then what we see is most of the optical microscopes are compound microscope, and the simple reason behind this is that they contain at least two lenses, right? So these lenses are basically the curved pieces of glasses or plastic that bend rays of light and can magnify objects, making them appear bigger than they actually are. So, so the compound microscope, which we will be seeing in our demonstration, magnifies an object in two stages. Okay, so this include that the light initially get reflected up through the specimen, and or the object is viewed in the powerful objective lens, which produces the first magnification. Okay, and then the image is produced. The image produced by the objective lens is then magnified again by the eyepiece lens, which acts as a simple magnifying glass. So the magnified image can be seen by looking into the eyepiece lens, which is located in the microscope. So now we will move towards the demonstration video, and we'll try to look for the samples, and we'll try to look the samples under these two modes of illumination, and we'll see how these different modes provide information as per the required experiment. So the basic workflow and the simplest way to understand that is, there's a light source which generates the light, which is being captured by the condenser, which supplies the light to the sample, and the sample throws the light to the objective lens in the form of a cone, and further you get a magnified image from the eyepiece. So if you understand, there are few things. For example, if you look at the course adjustment, then the course adjustment helps in the movement of stage in upwards and downward direction. However, if you want to move the mechanical stage in sidewise manner, then you use this particular adjuster, which is the sideways and the forward adjustment. So in simpler terms, the core and the fine adjustment moves the stage in Z direction. However, the sideways and the forward adjustment move the stage sidewise. So on the objective turret, you can see that there are 4 objective lenses. Now this particular arrangement differs on microscope to microscope. So you can see that there are 4 objective lenses. For example, this one is a 4x scanning objective lens. Then you have a 10x low magnification objective lens. Then you have a 40x high magnification objective lens, and then you have a 100x oil immersion objective lens. Now the oil immersion objective lens is named so because when you want to do imaging through this particular lens, you need to drop a drop of oil, because the air and the refractive index of air and the glass slightly differs. So in order to fill that gap, that oil is required. And when you want to do imaging on 100x, if the oil is not there, you find it difficult to do the imaging. Apart from that, there was one more concept that you studied in your theory lectures, which is a high magnification will always have a low field of view. Now the field of view here is basically the area of sample that you can visualize. For example, look at right now we are at high magnification, which is 100x. What you will see is this particular magnification will concentrate only a small area. At the same time, what you will see, the working distance is quite low. Working distance is the distance from the objective lens to the specimen. So if you go to a lower magnification, for example 100x, you will be covering a broader area. The area of view is more. At the same time, what you will find is the working distance is large. So now what do you want, a large magnification or a a larger magnification or a smaller magnification? Totally depends upon what you are looking for. For example, if your sample wants to look into the detail of some morphology, it is always advisable to go for a higher magnification. However, understand in a way that you want to look for a mobility of a particle in your sample that is moving. So here you need a broad area to cover. In that case, a lower magnification with a broad field of view will be advisable. So how to handle a microscope? It is very important to look at to take care of the few things when you are handling a microscope. For example, before switching on the microscope, always make sure that the intensity of the light source is at the lowest point. You cannot make it to the maximum and switch on the microscope, because this will affect the bulb life, the light source life, which is here. So now you can plug in the system, you can turn it on. There's a power switch over here. You turn that on and slowly you can increase the intensity of the light, not to somewhere in the middle, not to the maximum. So if you can see, while I'm changing this, while I'm scrolling this particular thing, you can see that the light intensity is increasing. So keep it somewhere in the middle. Now, there's one important thing is, your eyes has to accustom with the eyepiece objective, because this is the place from where you're going to see the image. So the best way to do is, you can see this is movable. You can bring it all the way to top, and then you can put your eyes in a distance to the eyepiece and try moving it downwards till the time you see a single circular bright area. So this is it. Always make some distance from your eyes to the eyepiece lens, because there's a high chance that something from your eyes or some oil can actually interact with the eyepiece and can actually damage the lenses. So it's always advisable to maintain some distance. Always, before starting the microscopy, always keep the stage at a lower position. So as I said, you can do the lowering using the coarse adjustment. Now I'll bring my sample in somewhere in the focus of light, and it is always advisable to start searching for the sample in a low magnification objective. Why so? Because if you can do a coarse adjustment at a low magnification, and then after you find, for example, after I find my field of interest, I can actually move to a higher magnification. Always remember that you have to move the turret in a clockwise direction and not otherwise. So it is always advisable to do the coarse adjustment when you are using a objective lens of low magnification, because as I said when the magnification increases, the working distance decreases. So there's a high chance that if you do a coarse adjustment on a higher magnification, you basically smash the sample against the objective lens, right? And you don't want to do that, because it will affect the lens as well as your sample. So once you find the field of interest on a small objective, it is always advisable to use fine adjustment, because now this makes sense, because most of the in a microscope, all the objective lens are arranged in a way that the focal length basically falls in the same range. So if you fix it on a higher microscope, you can just do a fine adjustment and just look into your sample. So now we'll be doing some imaging, and since you cannot see that right now with your eyes, I'll put a camera over here, and you can see the image of the particular sample, and it will be helpful for you to understand how the particular thing looks at a lower magnification and at a higher magnification. So now we have I have kept my sample in focus under 10x magnification, and you can see on the screen how the sample looks like. It basically is displaying some small fibrous structure. So if you see, if I move around the sample, you can see there are few things which is not desirable. So while imaging also, it is always advisable to take an image of a uniform face. For example, if you want to show a spherical for example, if you want to show a fibrous structure, that fibrous structure should present throughout the area where you are doing the imaging. Now this particular thing is required for an unbiased imaging for your sample. Now I'm more interested into how my sample will look like at a higher magnification. So all I have to do is move the turret in a clockwise manner and reach to a higher magnification. So we are currently looking to them at a 40x, and as I said, when you reach at a higher magnification, all you have to do is a fine adjustment. So you'll see when I'm doing fine adjustment, there you can see the fibrous structure at a little magnified images, and there will be a point where you'll see them very clearly. Now this is the point on which you do the imaging. So how and what magnification to be used, how and what sample should at what sample should be seen at what magnification, totally depends upon what you want, what information you want to extract from your sample. As I said, if you want a clear morphology, it is always advisable to go to a higher magnification. However, if you want to do some mobility study, it is always advisable to look for a broad area so that you can actually trace the mobility. Now, bright field microscopy, as I said, is the simplest and common form of microscopy. But since it is used for when it is used for biological samples, most of the biological samples transmit almost all of the light, and that's why the contrast here is quite low. To increase the contrast, we often use staining. For example, in bacterial sample, you must have studied, we use gram staining. If you want to look for cell culture, you use DAPI as a nucleus staining, or you use calcine AM for staining the cytosol for a better visibility of microscope. So you can prepare your sample and look into the microscope. Microscopy is very interesting. All you have to do is play around with the objectives, play around with the adjustment to get the best image of your sample. Let's now try to look at the polarized light illumination in this microscope. So you need to recollect the video of optical microscopy, which was shown in your tutorials. For this purpose, we are going to use a polarizer which is fixed on a surface which we are capable of rotating, and we are going to place this on the top of the light source for it to allow rotation, which gives plain polarized light onto the sample which is placed on the stage. So if you can recall the lecture from optical microscopy, this system is designed in such a way that we have two polarizers, one which is placed just after the light source and the other which is placed after the light leaves the sample. So the other fixed polarizer is placed in the objective lens. The idea is such that the placement of these polarizer is fixed in a manner that we can be able to rotate either of the two polarizer to block the light that is not passing from the sample. So if you see, the polarizer which is capable of rotating is the one which we have kept right after the light source, and we will be rotating it in a manner on this surface. So if you see, this is the image that is obtained from the bright field illumination, where the background appears bright. However, the sample or the particle of interest appear darker. So now, as I have already shown, we are going to put the polarizer which is able to rotate, and then we'll see how the image will look like. So the placement of polarizer gives, and once I started rotating it, it will give you an image of polarized light microscopy. So I'll just rotate the polarizer now, and you keep on seeing the effect. You can see the effect, and then there reaches a point where the background appears darker. However, the particles or the particle of interest are appearing brighter. Now the sample which we have given is crystalline in nature, and that's why we can see bright glowing particle in the microscope. Which was so this is an interesting thing, because this particular phenomenon, this particular structure or morphological arrangement was not very clear when we were using the bright field microscopy. We can go back to the place where we were looking at the bright field. So the bright field microscopy was, although not sufficient to give us this kind of information, however, the placement of polarizer or looking the sample under the polarized illumination helped for a better understanding of these structural arrangement and morphology.